What's going on, fellow humans and resellers? It is I, James, RedemptionAgency.com, UrbanHashbaker.com. 24 years selling full-time on eBay. And we're Sunday morning. All right, so we're going to go over the numbers from Saturday, which does not look like a typical Saturday. Well, maybe a typical Saturday on eBay when it's not working properly. Maybe that's more like it. And then I'm just going to talk a little bit about volume selling net numbers. The difference between a way I used to do it and a way I do it now, and why I won't go back to doing it that way. But first, one of the issues I had with a customer yesterday, and again, I don't know if this is an eBay glitch site or a customer glitch. So they got over 3,000 feedback. So when they have big feedback, I think maybe they know what they're doing, right? They tried to buy a pair of shoes from me twice, and eBay refunded them twice. So they sent me an email going, why you keep refunding me? I keep trying to buy these and you keep refunding. I go, I'm not even showing you bought these. They're not showing up in my thing. So I have no idea what's going on there. I left it at that. Later that evening, he ended up buying the shoes. So I don't know if that was an eBay glitch or maybe he just had an expired card on hand or something like that that was causing something to happen like that. Is it part of the new eBay setup where, you know, there's a gap between when you buy and when they process your payment to see if somebody's going to cancel or not, so they don't have to deal with that stuff? Is there a glitch in there that's causing that, or did the customer have like a bad card or something on file? I don't know. They have not. I should reach back out to them and go, was this a problem on your end? I should inquire if it was his user error or not. So maybe I'll do that today, send that email out. So hopefully it was a user error, not some kind of glitch, because if that was some kind of glitch, along with the offer glitch that's going on, it's just hurting sales. Of medias or the clothing store, I think I gone 24 hours with 5 offers. The media store, it's like we're at, 2 offers in 12 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 offers in 24 hours. So I should be getting 5 offers in an hour, not 5 offers in 24 hours. So when the site's working right, I have 5 offers an hour easily. So yeah, so it's still, I don't even know if they know it's jacked up. I haven't said anything, and I'm past the point of caring anymore when it comes to the problems on that site. So let's get into the numbers. Then I'll talk a little bit about net numbers on volume items. All right, so yesterday, 233 items listed with List Easier, affiliate link below. I know you're using AI by now, right? Come on now. What you waiting for? That's Pee-wee. All right. So we're starting a new week, so that's 233 items listed run total. Sold yesterday on the media store 49 items, which is up from the last 4 days. So that's at least a positive right there. Clothing store 14 items. So it's been, looks like, about average lately, unfortunately. 63 items sold yesterday total, making the run total for the week 63. $481 on the media store. So we're again down. I want to be over 500, and I want to be over 250 on the clothing store. We were only at 216, bringing the total to $697. Boo. Didn't even crack the $700 mark. So boo-hoo, boo-hoo. I didn't do the month to date, year to date. This is kind of repetitive to keep doing it every day. Maybe I'll do it every other day. All right, so So total sold yesterday was 53. 55 the day before, 50, 52, 66, 78, 59, 80, 51, 73, 81, 54, 59, 56, 78. Right. So, as you know, my goal is to sell more, right? Volume. Now, I could double that number with just one decision. But I choose not to. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Let me explain it let me explain it the best James can explain it, because James sucks at speaking. Usually I'm all over the place, as you probably are well aware if you watched my videos. All right, so these are not going to be exact numbers. They're going to be off probably by, just say, 10 cents either way, depending on circumstances, where it's been shipping to, shipping costs, the actual fee on the overall transaction, because if it's not going to be an exact science, but you'll get the point. All right, so how would I double my numbers if I wanted to today? Well, right now, as you know, or may not know, my lowest item in the store is, with the sale on, is $4.49, I believe it is, $4.49. And that is with a $5.25 shipping fee on top of that. Unless you buy more than one item. Buy two, get two free. That gives you 4 items for one price with one shipping price. So you still get charged the same shipping, $5.25, no matter how many items you buy. I did that to encourage volume, right? Now, if I wanted to double that, what I could do is just lower the $4.49 down to, say, $2.99, right? $2.99 plus the 5 shipping, so that's $8, $3, $5, $6, $7, $8, right? $7.99 to $8.99. We can just say $7.99 to $8.99 with shipping included. The problem with that, and I used to do that, and it's not a problem if you're doing small. If you're just doing it, you know, you only got a few thousand items, you're only shipping 10 a day, whatever, not a problem. You're making $1. We'll just call it $1.80, because that's my number for mine. Whether that's up or down 10 to 20 cents, I don't know, since I don't do that anymore. That's fine. Here's where that $1.83 goes down, right? Say it's $1.83 for that one item at $7.99 to $8.99 with shipping. Probably just $7.99. I don't know, either. You have your mailer cost, right? So that's 15 cents, 14 technically, I think it is. So you got 14 cents for that one item. So that $1.83 goes down 14 cents. Oh God, he's getting out the calculator. Now he's really going to confuse us. He's going to confuse you, going to confuse the hell out of me. Watch. Guarantee that. All right, $1.83 minus the 14 cents, right? Say you're paying somebody $10 an hour on the low end. Say you're paying yourself $10 an hour on the low end. That would be $10 an hour. For per minute would be what would that be? 16 cents? I think 16 cents. So that'd be 16 cents per minute, right? So say, this is why I always push that processes are good. The quicker you can do things, the more money you're going to make in the end. If you're paying somebody $10 an hour to pull items, say it takes them a minute to pull and a minute to ship on the low end. Well, that's an extra $1. Wait, hold on, not a minute, 5 minutes. 5 minutes to pull the item. Yeah, 5 minutes to pull the item. Technically, probably 6 minutes. 5 to 6 minutes to pull an item and to ship it. That's slow, right? If you do that, you've already tacked on another $1 to the cost of that item. 16 cents times 6 roughly $1. We'll just go round around. So now you minus the 14 cents, you minus the dollar in time, and you have 69 cents for that one item. 69 cents. Now, like I said, if you have a great process, that number goes up. So if it only takes you 2.5 minutes to do that, add 50 cents back onto that number, right? If you're paying yourself more than that per hour, then that number goes down. Is that worth it to you? That's where the question lies, right? Is that worth it to you? If you're only doing 10 a day, that might be worth it to you if it's not your main money-making deal, right? No big deal. Well, with me, it's my main money-making deal. And the problem with that per item for me is now I am timesing that by 100 items. They're not all going to be that price, but I'm pooling 100 items instead of 50 items. That doubles my time pooling. That increases my chance of something being wrong and it taking me a few minutes more than it should to pull that item. Oh, I misfiled that by accident. Whatever the case may be. That puts that number even in more jeopardy where it can go down even further. What that was doing before AI, before List Easier, that was taking away from my ability to list, right? So when you're shipping more and you're listing less, there's going to be a plateau where you can't go no further without changing something, meaning you can only list so much per day because your X amount of time is being put into shipping, right? And that ceiling is going to be lower than it would be if you change that up like I do now. All right, so you're going to be stuck at that ceiling. So how do you go about that? So the system I've been working for a while now, and I think I'm pretty okay with it. Pretty okay. I'm okay with the buy two, get two. What I've been playing with is the dollar amount. I went from 30% to 20% to 15%. Now I'm back up to 25% sale-wise. So trying to find that dollar that works perfectly when they buy four. It's enough to entice them to keep adding to cart because they see they're only getting one shipping cost, right? But enough for me where it makes sense dollar-wise to put the time into pulling in and shipping those items and even listing those items. That's why it's very hard for me to sell something like a say a Paula Abdul CD, because there's a million of them out there and you can buy them for $3.99 free shipping, right? Even the buy two, get two, Paula Abdul is probably like a hard, maybe not her in particular, but some of those massly produced albums are just very hard for me to move. I could have 10, 12 copies of them in my store. They ain't going to move till the person passes away, unfortunately. Fortunately. That shouldn't be unfortunately. Unfortunately, they pass away. How about that? I'd rather not pass away. I'd sit on the items if it meant they'd live longer. How about that? I'm a nice person like that. All right, so that's if you're doing one-off, playing the low dollar game. Now, if you don't know, that's what these big businesses play. All right, these big high volume media sellers on eBay. But do you know that one of the biggest ones have gone out of business this past year? Declutter, they're gone. I've been doing this 24 years and I've seen many of those big sellers on Amazon and on eBay come and go. And there's some out there that I'm watching going, how are they sticking around? Because they may be getting better shipping rates, charging $3.99 free shipping. If they're not getting better shipping rates than what eBay and pirate shipping places like that are getting, they're definitely losing money on those low dollar items. See, the problem with the low dollar media is there are more one-off buyers than there are multi-piece buyers. And you can see that now even with mine, one piece is overpriced because I will charge the $449 plus the $525 if you buy one. That's overpriced compared to these big volume sellers out there. But it's not worth it to me to go any lower than that. At a $449 item, if I sell one with the $525 shipping, my net is $3.48. So I did take a few notes here. $3.48. That's pretty good on a $449 item, if you ask me. That's net after the shipping and everything. All right. Not the cost of the item, because most of my items are stored away. That's why I always say 10 to 25 cents per item if you're buying media. I personally don't go over 10 to 25 cents, and that's the reason why. $348. So if you take out the media or take out the mailer, $348 minus the 14 cents. Now we're down to $304. Again, say you're doing this and it takes you 5 minutes to pull the item, so that's an extra $1. Whoops. Minus the $1. So then instead of 69 cents, you're still sitting at 204. All right. And that's with the 5 minutes. So if you cut that in half, add 50 cents to that, if it only takes you 2.5 minutes to pull the item and ship the item, then you made $250 off that item. I'm okay at $250. I'm okay at $2, but I'm okay at $250. All right, I definitely don't want 69 cents, right? So I want $2 or higher when it comes to one-off items like that. Now, how do you entice people to buy more? Well, I do the buy two, get two free. And I jotted those numbers down also. Now, when someone does the buy two, get two, my number drops a little. So instead of $348 per item, making $1.83 per item. Still better than 69 cents. So you see what I said about trying to find that balance that works for you. Now, it was higher than this when I was only doing 15%. When I was only doing the 15% sale, and I'll probably go back to that. I just wanted to try 25 cents for a month just to see if there was any major difference. And so far, between these 2 weeks, there's not really that much of a difference. Actually, we're actually down a little bit. And I'm not taking eBay site issues into play here, obviously. Just taking the straight numbers. We're actually down a little bit by adding that 25%. Piece count-wise, we're actually down too. So in hopes that that would increase the piece count, I'm actually lower. Now again, is that eBay issues? That's why I say it's real hard to be 100% about your numbers because of what's going on with the website. But we got to take what we can take, right? Just in case that's the way it's going to be forever. So in this case, that change has dropped me down a little bit. That's because I lowered it 10% more for the sale in hopes that it would increase the volume, but it hasn't increased the volume. All right, so we're at $1.83. Now, that $1.83, if you did that times 4, right, you're doing 4 different orders. Here's the difference between doing volume and doing one-offs. If you're doing one-offs, you're minusing the 14 cents for the mailer off that $1.83, right? Well, I'm not minusing that 14 cents off of the $1.83 because I just sold 4 items into one lot. So we take the 183 times 4. So for the whole lot as a whole, that order is $732, right? If it was 4 different lots, that would be 60 cents in mailers. 14 times 4, just call it 15 cents. 15 times 4 is 60 cents, so minus 4 cents off of that, 56 cents. 56 cents if you're doing them individually. Since I'm not doing them individually, I'm only minusing the 15 cents and not 60 cents. So that's $7.17 per order. Then you take the time it takes to pull those 4 orders, right? Now, I did 5 minutes that was 16 cents. So 16, 32, 64 cents. So say on the long, since we're playing the long end game, it took 20 minutes to pull these 4 orders. Now, there's no way it's going to take me 20 minutes to pull 4. I can pull freaking 50 items in 20. I can pull 100 items in 20 minutes. Yeah, probably about that. All right. And that's because systems. So even if on the major end, it took me 20 minutes to pull those 4 orders, that was, what did I say it was? So it'd be 16, 32, 64, minus 64 cents. So there's still 6.53 for that order. To me, that's a better number. That's why I like to look at volume as trying to get as many sales within one order as possible, because it's going to save you money on supplies right off the bat. I mean, 15 cents to 60%, 60 cents, right? Take that and times that over and over and over and over again. That's a lot of money. And as I said, there's a lot of one-off buyers as opposed to multi-piece buyers. So I set my system up to where a one-off buyer is not going to hurt me. Am I losing sales? Yes. But I'm also trying to attract sales by volume. So that is the game that I play now, and the reasons I made. I think I went over everything there, right? Didn't I? I think so. And that's the reasons why I will never go back to that low dollar playing game again, because it's just not worth it for me to do 69 cents. What was that number? I hope I didn't zero that out. Okay, it was 6.53, and then divide that by the 4. And so it's $1.63 as opposed to 69 cents. So almost $1 more per item. That's the difference. Now, like I said, the numbers are going to be skewed a little bit with fees, and you're going to pay more fees. You would pay more fees on the individual. Would this be right? If I'm wrong with anything, please put it below, because I talk in circles sometimes. The fees would be more on the individuals because you're adding that shipping each time. So that fee is going to be a little bit higher. Whereas for the 4 items, you still only got that one shipping fee. So would that make... It's early. I'm sorry. If I screwed that up, I'm sorry. Hopefully you got the point. The point is, it's not worth the time for me to pull 100 items worth 69 cents. The best way to look at that is it would take double the time to make the same amount of money that I do now. So if I did that per item, it would take me twice as long, but I'd make the same amount of money. I think that's right. But as I said, am I leaving money on the table? Yes. If I had an employee who pulled and shipped for me 100%, then I would look at the numbers maybe a little bit differently. But still, there's a reason why those big companies have folded over time. It's because they can't sustain that low dollar stuff for very long. It's not sustainable. You have to find a balance there. For many years, I watched these big buyers or big sellers, and I watch and question, how the hell are they doing it? This is before they were really starting to go out of business, because my goal is to compete. My goal was to, sell as much as I could and make more money on top of it. So I always evaluated and watched what these businesses did, and try to figure out how they were doing it. And then after so long, I'm like, there's no way. It's almost like they're doing loss leaders, but the majority of their items are loss leaders. And you can't run a business that way. A loss leader is something that a business will put into effect that they're not making any or very, very little money on, just to get people through the door. Best Buy used to do it with like CDs and DVDs, new releases. They weren't making money on the new releases. They charge $14.99. They're paying $12 to $13 for those items, so they're making little to nothing on those items. Those are loss leaders. Those just get people in the door and try to get them into bigger and better things, stereos and TVs, and basically just staying relevant. You know, if you got traffic in your door, you're going to stay relevant. But you can't have a business where your entire business, Best Buy failed as they were, but that's other decisions. But if they made everything else in their store but the media the loss leaders and made their money on just the media, that's what it seemed like these businesses were doing. They were making the majority of their items appeared to be loss leaders. Now you play into effect too their systems. They had a good listing system. I mean, it was okay. It's not as good as today's in AI. But what was their filing system like? What was their pooling system like? You know, did they pay somebody $10-15 an hour to pool and ship the items for them? You know, I don't know their details behind the scenes. So all that has to go into play when you're evaluating something overall. But from the outside looking in, I question, there's no way these people are going to make it. And a lot of them didn't. And some of them out there, I'm still curious of how they're hanging on. Something like Second Spin Discs, I think it is. Like, I don't know how they're hanging on. Or Second Sale. Second Sale, and there's just might be more by volume because they're World of Books. World of Books was Second Sale. So World of Books was Second Sale. Okay, so maybe they sold off, or were they the same company? So Second Sale is gone, and or they just changed the name to World of Books, and maybe they were World of Books. But you would think if they were World of Books, they would have used that because that's a popular name. So maybe Second Sale was sold. Let me check that. Because if that's the case, then technically they're gone too. Yes, World of Books acquired secondsale.com and has since rebranded it as World of Books. Customers who have Second Sale's account or access acquisition and rebranding. 20. Let's see, what they sell for? Yes, World of Books acquired. Let me see. How much did it sell for? Okay. The acquisition occurred in November. Oh, it occurred in November 2016. So they just changed the name on eBay then recently. Okay. Okay, so they got out when the getting was good then. Okay. All right. Well, there's a reason they changed the name from Second Sale to World of Books. World of Books is a more well-known name. Was it because Second Sale was failing? I don't know. But they got 2 million items. See, they're playing the big volume game. So a company like this is going to take them a little bit longer to fall behind. But let me see if they're even what their low dollar stuff is nowadays. Because I always look at them and go, you got to come up some. You've got to. There's no way you're going to sustain this forever. But then again, like I said, I don't know everything. Don't know all the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, $340 with free shipping. The only way they're surviving is they are paying nothing for shipping. They're not paying $460 what we're paying per shipping. Let me see if I can figure that out. Let me go to ChatGPT since it's a little bit smarter. Let's see if it can figure it out. What is the see how I can word this. Like World of Books is getting from the, I'm guessing it's USPS. Couldn't find anything. But see, you would think that some place like eBay would be able to compete with that, because that 2 million items is on eBay. Even though they're probably using an off-site company, it's still through the USPS. You would think that eBay could really compete. Some retailers and shipping tools advertise up to 88% off. Yeah. They've got to be getting more than that. They've got to be. Estimated for booksellers like World of Books. Given the World of Books likely ships a large volume, parcels, media, mail, and may negotiate rates, a reasonable estimate is that they might receive a 20% to 50% discount relative to retail USPS parcel rates. I don't know, I think they're getting at least 50% of what we're paying. That'd be the only way it really makes sense, right? If we're paying $460 media mail, divide that by 2, that'd be $230. That could be the only way I'd see that they're surviving. Could be higher in, say, 40 to 50%. So yeah, they're saying 40, 50% there. So that's probably what it is. So they're probably paying, $230 for their shipping, which would make sense to sell a $340. Well, not make sense, but, well, literally maybe make sense, a few cents. Because that's a $1 difference. Take out the fees, they're still going to probably break even on those items. If not in the hole after labor. But of course, that's not, I don't know if that's the majority of their items. I mean, they got 2 million items, so I'm sure they got plenty of higher dollar items also. That offsets that. So, but that's the volume game. The more you have, the more leverage you have when it comes to anything across the board. When it comes to being able to work the numbers. But there's that like dead zone in between. Like, there's a dead zone that if you're not watching, you're going to go backwards really quick. And it's almost like you have to make huge jumps in order to survive. Like if I was doing the 183 per item, it would probably only work for me if I had, it may work for me if I had 200,000 items in my store. Because then there's more volume. And then again, am I willing to hire somebody to do that, to make the numbers work? No, not at this point in my life. I'm not willing to do that. Everything's going to be self-sufficient with me. So I don't want to deal with any of that stuff anymore, right? Been there, done all that. So been there, done that. And they got a fair amount of CDs that sold for $250. DVDs, $250. How are they selling for that? These are normal. Come on now. Somebody's using them for... There's no way they're getting $250. Oh, you know what's probably happened? Their price has changed. See, these companies use price changing tools. So if an item's saying sold, but the price is saying $250, that doesn't mean it's sold for $250. that means the price is now at $250 for the ones they have in stock, but their system might be pricing it wrong. I used to use those price systems too. And every once in a while you'd get something, and you can't use those on eBay anymore, but you can use them off of eBay, right? So when I was using them with like Seller Champ, it would price something at $900. That was only worth $9 because it was feeding the wrong information. That's kind of why I like things like List Easier and stuff, where pricing can't really be done, at least now, and never has been properly, because you're going to get numbers that are just way off the charts. You're going to get numbers that were way below where they should be. And if you're doing volume, it doesn't matter. If you sell a $50 item accidentally for $5, whoop-de-doo, you're going to make it up someplace else if you have 2 million items. But if you only have, 87,000 items, it's going to hit you a little bit differently. And they got a lot of stuff that's way overpriced right now. And those items won't sell until that pricing unit takes it back down to where it should be, even though it's showing it's sold at that. But all those that's showing it's sold at that still have items in stock. So that tells me they didn't sell for that. It's just a pricing glitch on the automatic pricing thing. Not really a glitch, it's just the way it is. Well, World of Books have been... Don't they still have standalone stores? So I think so. How many freaking stores does Oh, they don't have any. Oh, I'm thinking of that other place. What's that other low dollar bookstore? So they are only on online. Okay. Now I'm more intrigued. History of World of Books. Whoops, I typed Hostry. It knew what I was trying to say though. Company traces its roots to 2002. According to the story, the idea began when a group of book-loving entrepreneurs spotted a bag of books in a charity bin and rescued them. It's a UK-based business. Okay, what are their worth? What's their worth? See if that number's out there. Couldn't find any. Buyer operated and invested in growing companies valued up to $300 million. So World of Books was acquired by Living Bridge in 2021. Okay, so it was acquired again. All right, so that makes more sense with the change in name. The buyer operates in a mid-market private equity space, investing in growing companies valued up to or around $300 million. So they're $300 million and under valuation. At the time of the acquisition, some press around the deal mentioned that Living Bridge typically backs companies that can be worth up to $300 million. World of Books has claimed annual sales of more than $200 million. Yeah, but what are their costs? They passed 100 millions. In 2021, they passed 100 millions in sales in the UK for the first time. See, the bigger you are and the longer you can go, the more flex you have in your numbers. But one little wrong tweak can send you crashing. just as one little good tweak can send you skyrocketing. It's a very, if you up your price by 10%, times that by 1 million sales, that's huge. You do it by 10%, that's huge loss. So there's a bigger flexibility graph when you're playing with those numbers. And depending on what the costs behind the scenes are overall, that's going to depend if the wrong twist sinks you or not. So, and if it can be altered, rebounded, if you will. All right, now I'm just babbling on about my own little stuff here. Interesting. Yeah. All right, that's enough for me. I need to get to work for the day. Got a lot of pulling to do. And gotta get some keep this process going. I'll update you guys within the week on the storage area and what it's looking like. And where I'm at. So, all right, enough of me mumbling gibberish that probably makes no damn sense to anybody out there, including myself. Hopefully I didn't walk in too many circles there. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you all in the next video. Later.